Hi, it's Cathy with inkingitupwithcathy.com, and I'm here with this cute little pull pocket card, and I'll show you how it pulls out to the little fish, and then I've got a little ocean scene inside. Isn't that cute? So let me show you how to make this card. I'm using the Seascape stamp set and dies, and I'll be using the little fish and the coral. Whoop, the coral here dies. I'm using the scalloped stitched rectangles from the Stitch So Sweetly dies, and I guess that's it for stamps and dies. Oh, the sentiment is from Well Done, so for my stamps, the inks, I'm using Granny Apple Green, Flirty Flamingo, and Balmy Blue. For cardstock, I'm using the Shimmery White for the base and the scalloped stitched rectangles, Balmy Blue, and Flirty Flamingo. And then for the coral, I'm using Sahara Sand, and then we've got a little window sheet here. So let me give you information on how to make this card. So the pocket itself, I've got this already all cut out, but I'll tell you how it worked and where it started from and how I cut it. So it started out being an 8.5 by 11 piece like this. Okay, so if you're going to do it out of your cardstock, you want to cut this measurement first, and this measurement is 5 1/4 inches. So that's leaving 3 1/4 inches over here. And I say that because, as you can see here, I cut out those Stitch So Sweetly dies out of this, and then this leftover portion here is where I stamped the seaweed piece and the 2 large fish that I then fussy cut out. So these pieces, so you're using the whole piece of Shimmery White. There's pretty much no waste to that. So I've cut it to 5 1/4, and this measurement here is 9 5/8. Okay, and then what I did was I scored it over here at 3/8 of an inch and a 1/2 inch, and then I flipped it over and did the same thing, 3/8 and a 1/2 inch. Okay, and then I turned it this way and I scored at I'm sorry, my instructions have got something odd, so let me check this. At 4 4 1/8. Okay, so this is 3/8 and a 1/2, and then turn 3/8 and a 1/2, and this is 4 4 1/8. I did the 4 4 1/8 first, and then I did these, and I only scored down to this point. You could score all the way down on both sides, and then you would score and then cut along those, or you can just do the cut, because you're cutting in that 1/2 inch all the way up to the 4-inch score line on either side and cutting that away. So that's going to be cut away. I then took some the tear and tape and placed it right next to the 3/8 inch score line on the outside here and here. And once I did that, I then cut these angles up to that 3/8 inch one. I did it after putting the tear and tape, just because it was a lot easier to get tape all the way up to this angle, and I want tape all the way up to the angle. Okay, so that is the pocket, and we're going to set that aside for a minute. Get out all my pieces. So the next thing is in Balmy Blue. I've got 2 pieces, and this one measures 3 3/4 inch by 5.5 inches, and it's scored at 1/2 inch. And then this one is 3 3/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches, and it is scored at 1/2 inch. So I'm going to fold up on those score lines like this. Find my bone folder, which always seems to walk away. And I'm going to press those down. Okay. I'm then going to get this little piece of window sheet. You see that there? And this measures 1/2 inch by 3.5 inches. And I'm going to take some tear and tape, little piece of tear and tape, scissors, and just a little less than 1/2 inch, and put it at the base of the window sheet on both sides. Now you want to determine where on your card you want your window sheet to go to have your little fish kind of stick up in the middle of nowhere. So I want it over here about 1 inch in on the right hand side. Now this is my large piece, so I'm going to place that just like this. Okay, and then I'm going to take this off, and this is going to go on this flap just like that. And then I'm going to take that one off, and I'm going to take my liquid glue, and I'm going to liquid glue the rest of this. And this is going to come up and meet that, and they're going to go together just like that. Okay, so I've got a piece of this is from the, oh gosh, it's the Peach DSP. You're a peach. How's that for a name? So this is these are pieces from the Euro Peach Designer Series paper, and they will measure 1.5 inches square. That's not 1.5 inches. Well, we're gonna have to fix that. What are they? They're 3.5 inches square. So let me make a note on my paper. All right, so this one is going to be the dots. So we can go ahead and secure that down. If I can find my adhesive. Well, let's just go with liquid. Oh, there it is. All right, so this is going to go right here. And then this will fold down this way, and this one is going to go right here. We're going to work on this crazy mechanism. So this is a piece of balmy blue that measures 1.5 inches by 3.25 inches. So 1.5 by 3.25. And you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch. I'm going to set this here so we can follow along. Okay, so we're going to score it at, we're going to go from this side. Okay, so we're going to score it at 7/16, which is just on this side, the left side of a 1/2 inch. And then at a 1/2 inch, at 1 inch, and at 2 3/4 inches. So it's hard to see them, but there's 2 scores right here, there's a score right there, and then there's a score right there. Okay, and then you're going to take it and you're going to put it in your scoring, your simply scored, or you can just do it on your cutter with the scoring blade. You're going to score every 1/8 of an inch on it. Okay, so this is going to, these two right here fold and create just this ever so slight pocket. Let's see if I can get up close there. See that? So that's that 7/16 and 1/2 inch, and it creates this teeny tiny little pocket. And then you've got all these score lines and down to these, and you're going to kind of work on them like this and get all of those score lines folded. And the better you do at this, the better your mechanism will work. You're going to work on that, getting each of those folds folded. And then you're going to take your bone folder and work them so that you really are breaking them down. Just like this. The more this thing will feed on itself and fold, the better it is. So what you want it to be able to do is just go back and forth like this super easily. Okay? So all right. So then this is going to go on and glue onto your card just like this, and you want this on your stripe front and this on the back, but see here, you want a little bit of gapping. You do not want, I'm going to try and get in as close as I can. See that? We want a little bit of a gap there, not quite that much, just a little bit, so that this opens and this mechanism works well. So just like that. So what you want to do is put some liquid glue on it, but don't get too close to those 2 folds. So we're going to stay a little bit back from that. And that is going to get centered on here like this. And then just make sure that there's a little bit of a gap. So hopefully you can see that little tiny bit of a gap there and there. Okay? So get that pressed together. So now we're going to bring this guy back in here, and we're going to fold, let's see, yeah. So the tear and tape is on the back side, right? So you're going to fold on these two. We're not going to attach it together yet. We're going to just get these set. Okay, this next part is we're going to attach this to the inside of our pull. So we've got this stripe facing with our mechanism here. We're going to turn this up like this. And I'm going to put some glue on that. Okay. And then you're going to take this and place it, open this up, and this edge is going to come to this edge here and just down a little ways, but you want to make sure that this little flap is pressed down like that and flat. So I've got a hold of it there with my nails. Okay, so this is coming down here, and I want to make sure that it's kind of centered, and then just below that top, and then press down like that and get that adhered, and then make sure that it's not sticking, and mine is not. Okay, so now we're ready to close this up, so that will fold in. Now this is going to close up with those in, and then this coming up and around like that. Okay, and then we're going to test our mechanism by pulling here, and you can see it's coming up and it opens up. Okay, so it is working properly, so we got it right. All right, so to do this, I'm going to pull back just one little bit of this side and fold along that and make that square and have those meet just like that, and then work a little bit more, get that lined up, and then finish that one out. Then I'll come over to this one here. This was a little bit harder to get started now that we've done that, but sometimes you can kind of pull up on it and get a hold of that. There we go. Just get a little bit of that. Get that pressed down in and made kind of like a square edge there. And press. And press. And there we go. Okay, so now we've got our pocket front. So now at the bottom of this, we probably should have done this before we attached everything, but it's okay. We have the detailed trio punch here, and I want to punch this little hole and get it kind of centered. Just like that. All right. So now we need to do a little bit of stamping. So we need to cut our scallops, stitch scallop, stitched rectangles out. And so this is a full-size one, and then this one has been cut with the bottom 3/4 of an inch off of it. Okay. First thing we need is the Stamparatus. And what I've done is I've set it to have the kelp stamp exactly at the bottom so that they're both going to end up lining up. So I've got it set for this. So we'll start with that. And I'm going to put my scalloped rectangle up in here. Go ahead and use my magnet. Bring that down so you can see it better. And ink that up well. And there's my kelp. So now I want that same kelp on this one without the bottom of it. So it'll go up into my Stamparatus in the same spot. And we'll ink it up. But that bottom section, there we go. So now we also need a one to fussy cut out. So I'm going to just take this piece that I told you to hang on to, that you've cut the scallops, and just line it up in that same spot and ink up your kelp again. And stamp it. Okay, and so now you've got the one to fussy cut out, or if you have a scan and cut like I do, just draw some pencil lines here and here, and you can cut them out and then scan them and cut them out. All right, so then remember this strip here, we're going to do a couple of the larger fish on, and I actually have it laid into a Stamparatus because I've got ones cut out for a class, and they're going to just have to place them into the correct location and stamp them. But I'm just going to go ahead and lay this here, and I have my Flirty Flamingo, ink it up, and get one, and then I need a second one. Go. Set that aside. So those will get fussy cut out. So on this one that goes on the inside in the Flirty Flamingo, I'm going to do the Happy Birthday to You. And I think that is from the Seascape stamp set. And that goes up here. And then on the one that is cut in the Granny Apple Green, I'm going to do the Hoping All Your Birthday Fishes Come True up here in this corner. And then the final thing I'm going to do is to give them a little bit of color with Balmy Blue and my blending brush. And I don't want to get too close to the bottom here with it. I just want it in the center here. Just a little bit of color. I have got a piece of balmy blue that, let's see, this measures 3 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And this one is going to get adhered down to the bottom of that. Centered here, left to right, but right against the bottom. Okay, just like that. Okay, and then that is going to, come on, see, now my mechanism's stuck. There we go. That is going to attach right here. So now I can determine where this one is going to slide up underneath here, about like that, and attach. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and hold it there. And place some of the adhesive. Come on. And then back here, maybe I'll use liquid glue. I actually placed it backwards last time, where I put this one down and then matched the front one, and that's probably a better way of doing it than this is. Go ahead and place this one and then that top one second. But all right, so now we need some little fish. And we need a piece of the coral cut from Sahara Sand. I've got my fussy cut kelp and 2 of the fish. Okay. And then 5 of the little fish. So on the inside, here, I want 1 little fish. Now some of them are facing one direction and some are facing the other, so I want to make sure that these are all facing the same direction. This guy isn't, so I want them facing that way. So I've got this little guy. Going to go here, and you just decide where you want him amongst the kelp. And on the front of the card, we want a couple of the little fish on dimensionals, and I'm going to have to track down one facing the opposite direction here. So he's going to go this way, and I'm going to find one that's facing the other direction so he can go the opposite way. I'll worry about that later. So on the stripe here, I'm going to glue one of my fish. Like that. And now I need to do my scene here, and I'm going to take the seaweed, and it's going to go here, and I want to make sure that it is not further out than the side of my card here. So so I'm only going to put glue right at the very bottom here, because it is attaching to this little flap down here, and that's it. So I'll put it right there on the front. Now this coral is actually going to go on the back of the flap, So I'm going to just put some glue on the front here. And again, I'm making sure that it's not sticking out. It'll go there. And then my other big fish is going to go right down here, and so I'm going to just put glue at the very bottom of him. And he's going to go right here. So when you go to put your other little fish on here, you need to decide where they're going to be, and if you have excess of the window sheet, you want to trim that off. So you can place your fish on a glue dot. So I want him here, like that. So then I'll come back on the back with my scissors and just trim that window sheet off, just like that. And then I think this one I'll do here. And then the final thing is some rhinestones. And have a couple of little ones in here, like that. That'll close. And then on the outside, I think I'll use the bigger ones. Okay, so other than my little fish here, oh, and I need my pull. Now, on the original, oh, and I need to do a little rhinestone for his eye. I used the Flirty Flamingo metallic ribbon, but I've run out of that. So I'm going to show you a trick with my favorite ribbon. And my favorite ribbon is this white seam binding ribbon. And the reason it is my favorite is it actually can become any color that I want it to be. And all I have to do is use a blends marker. So I'm going to place that here, bring in the dark Flirty Flamingo, and just color it. You just need to run over it one time. It bleeds right on through really well. If you want it darker, you can run it one more time, but you really don't need to. And give it a second. And now you have Flirty Flamingo seam binding. And I'll run that on through here. And I like the weight of it. It's soft enough, and the width is nice for cards. It's real thin. It's my favorite. I'm glad they didn't retire it because I use it a lot. Alright, and just grab my ribbon scissors, make a few little points on my ribbon. And there we go. So isn't that a cute card? I just love that. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have fun making one of these pull pocket cards.